there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we are driving the brand new BMW 7 Series, the facelift unveiled not long ago by BMW. And the car we are testing is the plug-in hybrid in the model range. I mean the cheapest plug-in hybrid in the model range, the BMW 745e. I should mention that if you want a hybrid in the 7 Series range, you can also get the 745LE and the 745LE X-Drive. As you imagine, the LE is the long wheelbase model and the X-Drive version is the all-wheel drive version. So no matter what car you go for, the drivetrain is the same. And there are a couple of notable differences compared to its predecessor, namely the 740e. The new 745e comes with a bigger petrol engine under the hood. It's a 3-liter straight 6, which delivers 286 horsepower, while the electric motor remained the same, and it's still to be found inside the gearbox and still delivers 113 horsepower. Overall, the car has 394 horsepower and up to 600 Newton meters of torque. Those numbers may sound good on paper, but they feel even better inside the car because this thing has a very good pedal response thanks to that instant torque from the electric motor. So it will set off in a hurry whenever you plant your foot on the gas pedal. But before we move on with the technical stuff, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the design. When BMW unveiled the facelift for the 7 Series, the internet basically lit up. And it didn't lit up in a positive way, but it was actually a rather negative reception, mainly because the front end of the car now has the biggest grills ever installed on a BMW. They have grown in size by 40% compared to the predecessor. And they are now officially the biggest ever to be fitted on a 7 Series or a BMW. And they are also so big that BMW had actually to restyle its entire front end and raise the hood a bit in order to make room for it. Is it a good look? I really couldn't tell. To be honest, I do think it's a bit on the bigger side of things. It could have been just slightly smaller. I'm not talking similar to the predecessor. I know they tried to create this grille just so that they can make an impact, but I think they went just a tad bit too far. They could have increased the grille's size without going this far. Chip in the fact that you get it in chrome as standard, and it really attracts a lot of attention. Now, I may not like it that much, but I have to say, if BMW's purpose was just to attract attention to the car, they actually have been successful at it, because during my time with the car, I noticed people giving it a lot of looks. It's a real head turner. And that means the designers got what they wanted out of it. So this car is also wearing a special kind of gray paint. I don't know its name by heart, but it's close to Battleship Gray, the color you can get on the Dodge Charger. And it looks really good with those chrome accents. It really stands out. So I'm not sure if the people were watching this car because of the front end or because of its color. Also, in the BMW 7 Series range, now you can get two exterior design choices. There's the M Sport choice and there's the Excellence package. We have the Excellence package here, and it makes the car look like it's a concept car coming straight out of an auto show's floor and into the real world. And I guess that's why a lot of people have been gawking at it. Moving to the sides, the old hockey stick is gone. Now we have a more angular design with chrome, of course. Around the back we have slimmer taillights, LEDs. They're more angular as well. And we have a light bar going from side to side, which is something we see on a number of models these days. Inside the cabin, not a lot has changed. The interior design remains the same, but we do have quilted patterns on the center armrest and on the doors, which do look good. The seats are also featuring the quilted pattern, but that was available before as well. The car we're driving today has the Napa leather in cognac, which looks absolutely stunning, and it's a really expensive tester. We also have all the bells and whistles you can get inside the car, maybe except the Alcantara roof and the leather on the dash. But other than that, we have everything, and the biggest change inside the cabin is the new instrument cluster, which is on par with the other newer cars in the range, like the 8 Series and the X5. It has a new professional live cockpit option I'm not a fan of, and the new iDrive 7.0 infotainment system, which is really easy to use and has a lot of new tech, like the BMW Intelligent Personal Assistant, which has a lot of functions and actually really works. Now, getting back to the technical side of things, this car is fast, as I mentioned. It has a really good throttle response, it's sharp, and even in sport mode, it is good to drive. It's not as composed as you'd expect it to be, because after all, this is a 7 Series, so it's large and it will lean because of its air suspension that has been set up to be comfortable most of all. I should not mention that we have 4 driving modes in this car. We have sport, hybrid, electric, and adaptive. When you set off, the car starts off in hybrid mode, which means it will use both the electric motor and the internal combustion engine depending on the situation. However, this being a plug-in hybrid, it has been set up to use its electric motor and battery until it runs out. So it will drive on battery power alone until it depletes its battery. Of course, if you need some extra power, the engine will kick in and you will get more power. The battery has been changed, and it is a new generation one, going from 9 kilowatts to 12 kilowatts of power. It is located in the same spot, so you should get more range out of it. But do you? Well, it depends a lot on how you're driving it. I managed to get about 20 miles out of a full battery around town, which is not bad, but I should mention that the conditions were pretty much ideal. The temperature was around 20 degrees. So it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, it was just perfect. The battery and the range of the car will be affected by external conditions. So in the winter time, I'm expecting to get less range during hot summer days. The same could be said because you would be using the AC a lot. So the electric range will vary, but I think you could get 30 kilometers or 20 miles out of it rather easily. So that's the electric range. When the battery runs out, the fuel consumption will vary depending on how much longer you plan on going. If you're going for like 50 kilometers or 30 miles, I'm guessing you'll see a fuel consumption of about 2 liters per 100 kilometers covered. But if you go further, that fuel consumption will grow. I also drove the car with no battery charge at all. So I drove it on the internal combustion engine alone, and it showed a fuel consumption of around 10 liters per 100 kilometers covered around town, which is really not bad considering how big and heavy this car and considering the traffic I had to deal with. Outside the city limit, you'll see a fuel consumption that will vary with the speed, of course. If you're driving at the usual highway speed in Europe, which is 130 kilometers an hour, or about 80 miles an hour, you'll see a fuel consumption average of 9 liters per 100 kilometers covered, which is fine. Once you drop that speed to about 110 kilometers an hour, or maybe 72, 75 miles an hour, you'll see that fuel consumption drop to 7.5 liters, which is actually good. It's really not that bad for a car of this size, as I already said. So the fuel consumption is fine. Would I recommend this car? Well, that will depend a lot on how you plan on using it. If your daily commute is less than 20 miles, I would wholeheartedly recommend it, as long as you have a place to charge it. The car can be recharged using a Type 2 charger in about 4.5 hours. So it's not that bad. The perfect scenario would be if you had a daily commute of up to 20 miles, but you got to charge it at home and at work. If you had the charger at work, that would work wonders, because you would have the battery charged like all the times, and you could even have a commute that's even longer. Now, if you don't have a place to charge it and your commute is longer than that, you might want to go with a different car. Of course, it's nice to cruise around town in electric mode and enjoy the silent treatment that the car offers. You know, it's a 7 Series, so it's very comfortable. It's very well sound insulated. There's little noise coming into the cabin, so it's really nice. Even when the internal combustion engine kicks in, it's a straight 6, so it's very well balanced. It doesn't make a lot of noise unless you really press on the gas pedal. So it's soothing, so it's nice to have it. But the fuel consumption could be lower if you had a longer commute and you couldn't use this car in electric mode alone. That being said, this has been my review of the 745e. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As usual, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe to keep this channel alive.